Hi there, everybody. So here's the thing. Plugging holes. It's a very simple thing. You just grab the appropriate sized dowel, and I have a large collection of them, just in case. So you take your appropriately sized dowel, cut a few lengths off of it because you want to be able to hammer it into place. Add a little glue, whatever glue you like, but in my case, seems how we're probably not going to be completely finished with this today. I will take I will take too much glue, and I will spread that around. If you're wondering what that is, by the way, it's Titebond 3. It doesn't have to be Titebond 3. I'm a fan of Titebond 2 myself. Anyway, take the appropriate action here. Tap it in until you have resistance, until it feels like a good solid unit. Go to the next one. And the next, and we'll get to clear all this stuff up with some water. There it is. So, let's get a wetted, moistened paper towel. So the neat part about PVA is that it's water. Cleanup makes this easy to clean up. If you were using super glue, you'd have on the ready some fingernail polish, essentially acetone. There we go. At the ready to clean up. Water cleanup is better. So once that's tapped in and kind of cleaned off, you can go ahead and snip, 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 snip. And you can reuse these later on for, well, your other plug needs, I suppose. Don't forget to clean up your tools. And to finish cleaning up the base here. Trust me on this one, the less excess the better. And we can take at this point, like a knife, a very, very sharp one, just kind of take off the excess. Hold it dead flat and angle just a hair. That is pretty close to being where we want it to be. It's not perfect, but we will make it so. To really get it right, change your angles. You can see how it's going to dive in, shave everything at some point. Once again, though, it's not going to be perfect. I don't really care. I just want it good. There we go. That's really pretty close. So we have a cat named Martin, not to be confused with a soft floof Marcus. Martin is a very complainy cat. He's a very rotund little boy, and we call him the boy because he's a little boy. That's what he do, or him do, for that matter. If you wanted to kind of roll over it with this, you can. We're not actually taking anything off, though. But those are plugged.
Gary Ostrander and Dean Blomberg, replying to a request for a chronology of events regarding his research, but also took the opportunity to state that he had been consistently cleared of any wrongdoing and to instead blame the criticisms of his work as a racist attack on his career and character, stating, quote,
"It speaks volumes that I, a Blackpool professor, was targeted by white complainants whose allegations against me were meant to discredit my research and reputation. The complainants formed a narrative built on incomplete and inaccurate information and wasted no time sharing this false narrative via numerous public platforms. Such actions lack integrity and run counter to the confidential inquiry process. This matter was not
And this is about where the full scallop will start.
permitted to rerun analyses.
So it's getting closer. By this point it'll be full, and then full all the way down for the rest of them. Then after this it's just a matter of cleanup. Replacing and cleanup in this case. But while I'm out in the garage, I'm going to go ahead and take down all these fret ends and give it a taper like it's supposed to have. So the tapers on a standard guitar are somewhere between 30 degrees and weirdly like 35 degrees. I like 33. It makes people think I'm Masonic. I'm not. It's just a nice in-between. But the reality is, I'm not using a gauge when I do this. I take it up to a belt sander and I do it by hand. I just kind of roll it over until it looks about right, feels comfortable. Then I finish up the fret ends on here. Oh yeah, that's coming out too. From here up, I'm sure, I will be getting rid of and using new fret dots. Like I said before, I made more. I got lots. Rosewood dust. Lots of rosewood dust. Oh yeah, how are we doing so far? Have a look at that. You see that little ZZZZZ? That's what we're looking for. They're very comfortable. Now we're on the full scallops down here. Boy, I wonder what it would feel like if I just skipped those frets. Anyway. And yes, a yoga mat is absolutely the way to go. Well, folks, as we've been busy here, I was not wrong that these are the only ones left. Everything else was pretty well impacted, just like I thought it would have been, and that I would have had to have drilled those holes deeper, which I declined to do at the time, or else I would have to do it later. Well, later came, and so the holes are re-drilled. I'm going to re-add inlay material. But now is a real poignant time. If I add more material, do I want to add the same material? Having seen what it looked like, I don't know. I got lots and lots of different inlay though. I kind of like this pink stuff.
Inexcusable and based on faulty accusations.
I mean, once again, I do not have the luxury of being able to use all this stuff, but I can at least take a look and see what it looks like on it. And if I still have the materials, I can make more. Well, the one that I was kind of looking at, going like, ooh, well, with the rest of the guitar looking the way it looks, it kind of goes with the slightly off-white and mint green, and yes, it does glow in the dark.
That her knowledge of the reasons for his termination were limited to FSU's intent to terminate letter and related her own personal issues with hard drive failures.
Isn't that nice? Wouldn't that look great? I think so. Yeah, there's the rest of them. But do not have currently glow-in-the-dark materials. Except for these. There are a lot of these. All of which glow nicely. I mean, that's pretty great, you got to admit. But none of these are the appropriate size. So we got to use what we used, or we got to make some more. Let's take a look at the darker brown while we're at it. Yeah. That's terrible. that's a no from me. So, and yes, I still have to drill the holes in the bottom. Here, which are dry now. But you'll see how we do that once we set this thing up with some strings on it. I got a lot of work to do on this first. And yes, I got the taper in there. To follow along with that, though, follow up, I am going to go ahead and just hit it a few times just to make absolutely sure nothing's sticking out that I don't want to touch. It's a file from Philadelphia Luthier Supply. Tools and Supply, I should say. And all these things are real nice finish. We don't just rest on our laurels with that finish, though. We follow that up even further. And that's definitely good. Now, this does present a little more difficulty because we don't have a hammer now that can really get in there. So we're going to have to use a rounded thing. It's the appropriately sized roundness to go ahead and get in there. That might do. Well, here we go. Alright, we get to wait on that for a while. In the meantime, so we're going to take this, saw it a little bit. It's very wet outside right now. Might as well call the guitar Lorraine. Alright, so it's all been kind of taken care of. All of these have been replaced, and I've replaced more than I intended to in the first place, but those are all done. Everything has been sanded, I had a small coat of cyanoacrylate, or super glue, that wonderful Hobby Lobby stuff. Rubbed it in, and then sanded down some more. I'm going to actually try to avoid linseed oil, because I just don't want the cure time. But, I mean, that could take days. Days and days and days and days and days. But, so it's a race against the clock tonight. How am I going to get this to a nice worn look? Like it's just been not recently sanded, because this is the sanded look. You know, and that's all the way down to 320 and then a jump over to 2000. The interesting thing about that is that, yes, you'll still have the swipes in there from 320 grit. But when you jump over to 2000 after that, it does take some of it down, but it kind of dulls the top of it. This makes it look like it's been worked on, which it has, but it also makes it look like it's been played for a long time. So the interesting thing to me would be is getting the rest of it to then therefore look nice and like it's actually just been played a lot, like that. So that's where this comes in. So Dremel, Dremel, Dremel. This is a relatively tough kind of polishing bit. So I just go over it with that, some sandpaper to clean it a little bit, and then we put it on, get into the crevices, and just kind of roll back and forth on it a bit. And you'll see right there the beauty this can provide. Yeah, flip that around. Like that. Over here. Not bad. A little ugly, but not bad overall. Back to it. You guys seeing that? So there's a lot of things to be done still. I've still got the fretwork to do. That'll be tomorrow night. Once that's done, I gotta position the neck on the body. Find the spot where the holes need to be drilled to put the thing back together again. And we're going to go over this and wax it with my favorite paste wax, as opposed to the wax and feed that I would typically use. This stuff has been around for a long time here. It's also very good if you're running glue down the channels here. I am not, because I have used a different method. I used wood glue as opposed to super glue. This is going to cause a small problem though when we go to tape the surface down, but that does look really good. And I'm going to leave those inconsistent air-gapped dots in place. I think it's fine. In fact, let's go over the back with some paste wax. We have yet to wax this neck. And we have redone it, but we haven't waxed it. And so that's the other half of the story. you're going to hand oil the neck. Hand oil the neck, yes. Wax it. You can use a paste wax, which is good, but you've got to make sure you get all that off, because if you don't, it's just going to stick around and you're not going to be happy with the results. You're going to have to chase it as soon as it dries pretty quickly, just to make sure it isn't going to turn into a big ball of crap on you. But this will give you the nice Ernie Ball gun stock oil finish. Because essentially that's what this is. Tongue oil or whatever. You got to finish it up with a paste wax. And the neck should feel fantastic. Which it do. It do. Now this, you just take that right on down. That'll give it a lovely, lovely sheen, like it's been around for a while. Which is the whole point. And this is best done with a finger. If you run into any spots that look a little bit like needs a little more attention, do it. Nothing wrong with that. And this is a piece, by the way, of my favorite hoodie from back in the day. Not much of a hoodie guy, but every once in a while, well, it was a zipper hoodie, excuse me. But every once in a while, you find one that just speaks your language. And this one just fit well, real well. And hell, it was orange, and I love orange. So this guitar pretty well has a name now. And although I've been looking through names of ghosts and ghost types and stuff like that to kind of set off the ghastly pallor which this has, I couldn't find anything that really suits without it sounding corny. That's done. That's pretty. That is fine with me. And you know what? Here's this neat little thing I've got here called paint. If that starts to bother me, I'm just going to dab some paint on it and call it good. Probably not. Anyway, scallop's done. And it looks like it's been around the block for 8 years. 80 years? It looks like it's been around the block a long time. That's the whole point of it. All right. Night.